Today, we're going to learn how to code Pong with nothing but AI prompting. This tutorial is designed a little bit more for intermediate and experienced programmers. If you haven't programmed before, check out the beginner course. Come to code.strivemaths.com or follow along with the link in the description. Let's get started. You're going to come to the AI tab and we're going to start with the first basic ingredient. We need a ball. So I'm going to ask, code me a bouncing ball. Let's see what we get. So the first thing I want to explain is that your code that you just got, if you gave this prompt, is completely different to mine. That's because AI is this fancy thing called non-deterministic, meaning if I ask it to code me a ball 10 times, I'm going to get 10 different answers. So follow along as best you can, but what I'm going to be showing in this video is the principles behind how to prompt correctly. So it's given me a bunch of code. I need to be able to identify, okay, what code do I actually need to use here. So we've got the setup command. Let's copy paste that and replace our setup. And we have an updated draw function over here. And let's see what we get. Okay, we get a ball and it's bouncing around. What I would suggest at every point in time is just have a look at the code. Try and make sure you understand it to an extent. The more you put in code that is beyond your ability and is weird, and the longer you wait before you try and understand, the harder it's going to be. It's going to be much easier now if you go into this and be like, okay, cool, what is this doing? What is this doing? And ask the AI questions, which we'll cover in another video, on how to do it. But let's keep going. So we have the ball bouncing around. The next thing I want to do, if we're looking at this Pong game, is paddles. So let's just start with one of the paddles. So let's start with the paddle on the left side of the screen. So here, I'm going to give the AI a little bit more context because I'm coding Pong. So I'm coding Pong, create the paddle on the left side of the screen. Now, you want to always be as specific as possible in regards to how this looks. So when you say the left side of the screen, where is that going to be exact? Is you want it to be right on the edge of the screen, so it's on the border, or do you want a bit of spacing? When you want it to move, how do you want it to move? The more specific you can be with your prompts, the more likely you are to get answers that are working and look good. So I'm going to be more specific. So here's my final prompt. I'm coding Pong, create a paddle on the left side of the screen, put a gap of 40 pixels between the left edge of the screen, and make the paddle move only up and down and make it follow my mouse. So I've been super specific. Let's hope the AI gets this. So from this answer, what I'm noticing is that it's given me this function, but now it's forgotten about the ball. So I've got the paddle, but I forgot about the ball. And it took long. It gave me a lot of explanation. If I know what I'm doing, I can do two things. One, I can say, give me only the code, right? That way it's not going to spend any time trying to explain things, unless you wanted to. But in this case, I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to say, give me only the code. And then I'm going to say, give me the code in one single code. So now it's given me the code in one code block. It was much quicker. I can now just go ahead and select all of it, copy, paste. And there we go. We have our paddle that is working pretty nicely. So next up, let's just get the other paddle on the right-hand side. So what I'm going to say for the other paddle is code me a paddle. So I've asked it, code me a paddle on the right-hand side, make it move up and down with the arrow keys. So notice when it's now given me code, in this particular case, it hasn't given me all of the code. So if I copy paste all of this into setup, I'm going to get an error. Make sure to read the code to know, hey, is it giving me all the code or is it giving me partial? Again, you could prompt it, give me all of the code, but it's going to be a little bit quicker to be able to identify, okay, this is this part of code after create canvas. So I'm going to just delete all of that and put it in. And similarly with draw, it's following a similar vibe. So I just need to put it pretty much wherever in order to get it to work in. And then lastly, we just need to put in this function. We've gotten some sort of error. We're going to have a look at that now. So put in this function for the key pressed. And so we're getting an error, bad input on line 24. Oh, it's just an indentation. Was it? Because now I'm getting another error. Ball position X is not defined on line 29. So it is weird. Why is this happening? But this is a good opportunity to show off another quick tool. You can click this button, Debug with AI Assistant. Let's see what the AI tells us might be the problem with line 29 that says ball position X is not defined. So what it's told us is that for position X and all of these different variables weren't defined in setup. I think I might have deleted code in the last one, but we're able to see how to utilize the debug with AI thing. Copy paste that, include it up in setup. And now she seems to be working. Let's see, does this adjust? Okay, so what's happening at the moment is when I'm pressing up, it's moving up, and when I'm pressing down, it's moving down. So now, okay, we could, if we're going into the code of where this is, we can see, so global or def key pressed is where this function is happening. A few things that I want to be able to do here. So one, I just want to be able to switch it so that when I press, it moves up and down when it moves down. So this is where the intermediate part of this workshop comes in. I'm going to assume you know how to code well enough, you'll be able to spot a bug like this. So I'm going to go ahead and change this and say, okay, when it's pressing up, I need plus equal 5 for the right paddle position. And when it's pressing down, I'm going to minus equals 5. And now we're getting that effect. But I want it to be smooth. It's quite clunky, and I'm going to be spamming my keyboard to get this to work. The effect I want is for the paddle on the right to follow the smooth motion with my arrow keys. I'm going to try the following prompt to get. The prompt I'm giving it is make the paddle on the right move at a constant velocity. And you put full stop. When I press the up arrow key, make the velocity positive, and when I press the down arrow key, make the velocity negative. So here I'm being very specific on the exact nature of it. I'm not describing the output. I'm not describing, hey, make the right pong paddle move smoothly. You could ask it that, and you're likely to get a result. But again, the more specific you're able to be, and almost what we're doing here is like we're pretty much just coding in English, the more likely the AI is going to be able to get it right. So let's see what we get. Okay, let's see. I'm pretty optimistic about this. So it's given me two variables, right paddle velocity, or it's given me a variable to include in setup rather. So I'm going to include that. Our setup is looking very messy. I'll try and clean that up in a little bit. We've updated our key pressed over here. So I'm going to take all of this that's in key pressed. But notice immediately it's gotten the directions wrong. It didn't take into account that we changed it when we press the up arrow, we want it to be positive. We want that down arrow, we want it to be negative. And then it's included another function so that the paddle will stop moving if we're not pressing. This we didn't include. So this is really interesting. The AI decided to include this on their own. And then finally, we just need to update what's happening inside of draw. Now, okay, this is where, again, it's going to get tricky, and where being able to understand the code is going to help you so much. So if you don't understand the code, yeah, you can say, give me all of the code, that's fine. But always what's going to be much faster if you understand the code and identify where this is. So here we're updating the right paddle. So where is that over here? On lines 33 and line 34 is where the code exists for the right paddle. So I'm going to copy paste just that part, delete these. See that? And again, like if you didn't know how to code, this wouldn't be possible. You wouldn't be able to have identified these. And it's broken. Great. As I say and speak a big game about knowing code, I break it. Good job, Tamir. Oh, so the exact mistake that I made is like I didn't know how to code this. I got rid of the rectangle that actually draws it. So I'm going to just copy paste this again and not get rid of the rectangle. And let's hope. Okay. There we go. Okay, that's looking much better. Now we have a smooth moving paddle on the right-hand side. Okay, keep going. We're nearly there. Okay, so it's given us some code this is going to check if it's a collision with the left paddle. Put it over here. And it's given us some code here for collision with the right paddle. So let's copy paste that and see what we get. Okay, so the error that we got here is name paddle height is used prior to global definition on line 54. So the practice, so what the AI so far given us is pretty messy code. Maybe it hasn't given it to you, but this is going to be a useful prompt nonetheless. I'm going to ask it, hey, can you put all global variables right at the top of my function? Because then it's very difficult to know where a variable is declared or not. But if we know it's at the top, everywhere below it, we're fine. So prompts I've given us, can you put all global variables at the top of draw and setup? Give me the full code of the entire program. Okay, We've got all of our code now. Nice big block. Copy paste. Copy paste it. See, so it's working nicely. Is collision detection working? So do we bounce? Yeah. Okay, let's check and test the right one. And it's bouncing. Okay. We have a basic game of Pong, girls. So the next thing we need to do is the score of our players. And I'm going to purposefully try something a bit different. In the past, I've shown you how to be very specific. I'm going to test, okay, what happens if we're vague? What happens if we're not specific? So I'm just going to say, let's show the score of each player. What I want is for a left player score and a right player score. But let's see if that happens. Okay, so it's given some code and it actually looks promising. We have quite a bit of, it seems like it's gotten it right, but let's test it. So it's giving me setup code with some new code. I'm going to just copy paste everything that I need from here. So it's giving me a variable for player score and computer score. It's now checking inside of draw, hey, does it hit the left side of the wall? Okay, increment the computer score. Does it hit the right side of the wall? Increment the player score. So I'm going to put this, but yeah. Oh, make sure indentation is working nicely. Oh. And then it's given me code and that I know is going to be wrong. I know it's going to break. So let's find out. We're going to have a few areas that we're going to have fun debugging here. So it's giving me code to draw the score on the screen. And I don't know if you can spot what we're going to get wrong here when we draw text. So I'm going to copy paste draw text. Let's just put it somewhere towards the bottom. Okay. So it's gotten the, well, too big. A few things. Bunch of errors. So one, we have draw text is not defined. Okay. Let's say you don't know how to solve this problem. Similar, debug with AI. So we can do that. But what if you know how to code or the functions of P5, you know that it's just text, but not draw text. So you need to be aware when AI is going to hallucinate and give you stuff you're just like, what are you saying? Okay. Next, we have so many things happening. So local variable player score and computer score. If you notice inside of draw, it didn't give me global variables for player score and computer score. Again, you can go ahead, debug with AI if you want, but I'm going to skip ahead and say global player score and computer. It tends to make these kinds of mistakes a lot. So this will be a useful thing to do. And let's see, do we still get this error? Let's move me over here so we're able to see the error console. I don't think so. I think we're good. But we're not seeing any score. Let's just see if the player loses. What happens? Yeah, no, we're not. Okay, so something is going wrong. We can't see the score. So I have a suspicion I know what it is, but I'm not 100% sure. Here, we're just going to be, and we're going to tell it, hey, I can't see the score. And let's see if it's able to figure it out on its own. It gets it. AI is ridiculous, man. So it gets it. The problem was that the text is black and our background is black. So here we can see it's just wanting us to include these lines of code where the text is being drawn. So if I just do that over here, beautiful, look at that. And it's working. It is gorgeous. God damn. Wow. So cool. Okay, I'm going to end the video here. You can now add lives, you can add different effects and colors, keep building on top of this to make this game more and more exciting. But you've been able to see how we've been able to build up from the bottom up how to create Pong. What I want you guys to do now is come to our Discord channel and share your version of Pong that you've been able to make with AI. Try and see what flair or creativity you're able to add to it and share your prompts that you used to get there. Looking forward to seeing it. I'll see you guys in the next one.